So today I'm going to be giving a talk on follow along media. So it's about moving your audio along with you seamlessly with presence tracking. So a little bit about me. I'm Tej Sahota. I'm a co-founder at factionfinancial.com. It's a AI, machine learning, every buzzword you can think of based hedge funds. So Home Assistant though is a huge passion of mine on my free time. I'm a huge hobbyist. I've been watching pretty much, Frank or Dr. Z all the time on YouTube, and that's really where I got started a couple years ago. And I'm really, really happy to see how this community has evolved over the time. And I'd love to give back by doing a little talk like this. And so today we're going to be talking about automatic synced music that follows you around. So if you have multiple music players within your home, they can follow you around as you're playing music. Say you're listening to it in your bedroom and you walk down to your kitchen, the music should follow you there seamlessly without you having to touch or do anything. So I think the best way to show that is with a quick demo. So I got a quick demo set up here that I will be showing you guys today. So these are the two music players that I have down here for this demo. And in typical programming fashion, I've named them very confusingly music and volume. And the volume of volume and the volume of music is going to change, and volume and music are also synced together as media players. So I have a presence tracker sitting right over here on this side beside volume, and I have a presence tracker sitting on that side beside music. And so I'm going to go ahead and play some music, completely royalty-free music that is. So I'm going to have this playing here. Takes a moment to start up there and sync between the devices. So if anybody of you have used, sorry about that. So this is, I'll talk more about how this is working, but right now music is playing through volume. And my wife is gonna walk with my phone over to music right now. So she's gonna walk over there. And you can take note of this speaker right here. There's a light strip there. And you can see the music followed her over there. And as you can see on this page, the volume of music increased and the volume of volume decreased. And as she walks back this way, the opposite's going to happen. So you can see that these are kind of like rooms. So she walks over to this side, gets beside the presence tracker over here. And there you can see that basically music shut off now or went severely low in volume, and volume went back up. And that's a basic demo of exactly what this happens. You can apply this to far more rooms within your home, but this is a simple example. So that was a very quick demo of exactly what happened there. So as you walk around your house, if you have multiple rooms, the music will just follow you around wherever you are within your home. So part one is presence detection. How is it that I can tell Home Assistant where am I within the home? So I think a lot of you are familiar with this, but Room Assistant. Room Assistant is an awesome piece of software. There's a link to it right there. It's incredibly reliable, I found. It has a lot of check marks that I really like. So one of the biggest ones is it runs on embedded hardware like a Raspberry Pi Zero W. Very cheap, very inexpensive. And the second really, really big point for me was it's easy to deploy. You can deploy it with like Ansible. You can deploy it with just command line if you'd like to, if you only have a few points, but very reliable. It connects over MQTT to your main Home Assistant instance, and depending on the MAC addresses you pass, it says where that device is moving around. So things like watches or your cell phone, any kind of device like that can be tracked. And so as you walk around your home, for example, my wife walking over there, it detected I was in that room that I set up virtually and began playing music over there instead and dropped the music down over here. And the second part that glues this all together is the media player. So I personally use a Logitech Media Server with Squeezebox. It integrates beautifully from the UI. You can integrate this into your Home Assistant instance, and it's pretty easy, pretty well to go. A lot of good services there. Like if you want to sync media services together, it's very trivial actually. So that's what I choose to do, and I run that through the PyCore player, which is also a free piece of software. Runs all this very easy to install. So tying it together, I do that with Node-RED. So I will give you guys a quick look at how that is. And I don't do any automations personally using anything but Node-RED. I find it to be the easiest one to use by far. And this is how simple something like this is. I track my presence. I switch between my 2 points. PyZW3, these are also named a little funny, was the one that was beside volume. And the one called basement tracker was the one beside music. As soon as it detects that I'm there, I showed the light to give an idea, just in case music doesn't translate as great over a single mic like this. But as you can see, I changed the music volume of music to 50 and I dropped for volume down to 10. This has a lot of like quirks to it that let you know that, say I'm moving to a room beside a room that I'm in, I can change the volume on the fly to whatever I'd like to change it to. So in this case, I changed music and volume to these degrees just for the presentation. But obviously there's a lot more you can do there. You can do a significant amount of changes there. A lot of people are familiar with input booleans to completely shut off an automation like this, or how do you deal with multiple people. That's basically something I'll talk about in just a moment here. So edge cases are things like multiple players and what if there's no presence detected, and that's actually very personal to you. If you have no presence detected, do you want to shut the music off? Do you want to assume that, say, your phone glitched or died or anything like that? Do you want just to play music evenly throughout the home? Luckily, that's all up to you in Home Assistant. You can basically go into Node-RED, say I want to set if my phone dies or no presence detected, set it to 50 everywhere. Set it to if my wife is in that room and I'm in this room, then play it subsequently. If my wife walks into the same room as me, because happy wife, happy life, I'm probably going to give her player preference and turn my player off. Things like that you can take into account, and all tying it together with Node-RED is fairly trivial. So there's a lot of alternatives to what I've discussed. So instead of Logitech Media Server, you can use things like Sonos or Snapcast. Personally, I found Snapcast to be a bit unreliable, and no solution out there is that reliable or easy to install right now as PyCore Player is. And Sonos, that's a whole story about open source. We all know what they did to Snips, or that was Sonos or whoever it was. It's one of those things where it's just as trivial to sync it together in Home Assistant and move the volume around that exact same way. So as a quick recap, so all you want to do is just track your presence, move your volume around. It's not even a particularly intense automation that you're doing, but it's a very powerful one. I find it very, very powerful. Move my bedroom down to my kitchen, down to my basement, and have my music follow me everywhere I go. Rather than just in the back of my head, I know I could just play music at my preferred volume all throughout the home. But that doesn't work so well when your wife is home, or when you have friends over, or if you have a party automation. So there's tons of different ways that you can go about this, but this is a quick recap of basically how I ran these things. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to stick around and answer them in chat. Let me just take a look at you guys here. I think I was a bit short on that timing there, but it should be okay. Google Nest, I think it's very difficult to sync it together in that way. Like I have a couple of Google Homes around my house, and playing music synced throughout the home isn't as easy to expose to Home Assistant. The latency for Bluetooth and Home Assistant is not that bad. It's coming through Room Assistant, communicating through MQTT. My wife was walking fairly deliberately, kind of slowly to walk to the room, but it's actually very quick and it's very, very reliable. As you can see, as soon as she walked over there, within a few seconds, it detected her presence. The good thing about Room Assistant, I believe, is most of it's run in memory, if I'm correct. Like if you choose a version of Raspbian or whatever it is, a lot of things can run on the memory itself, so it doesn't corrupt the SD card if I remember correctly. Spotify support, was using Spotify right now. That's what I was using to play this music, and PyCore Player puts it together as a single media player. When you sync two sources, it's going to show up in your Spotify as, it shows up as volume and music. So, working with, I know a lot of people are asking questions as I work with Alexa or these other platforms. You can try, if you can already get synced music playing through them, and you're able to control the volume individually through Home Assistant, then you should absolutely be able to do something like this. The presence tracking is completely disjointed from the music that's playing and the volume from the players themselves. Yeah, it does play TTS. It can definitely play that too. I use it all the time. And see, a good thing about that too, actually, I'd bring up a very good point, is if I get a notification for TTS compared to my wife, it can know where I am and play the TTS through only that speaker. And so it's basically talking to me or talking to my wife, and it's not just announcing it throughout the home willy-nilly. The physical speaker setup is I plug a Raspberry Pi. You can plug it into a DAC, and then you plugged it directly, and I can point it over there. This speaker sitting on the floor here is just like, it's an old guitar amplifier actually, and then the speaker system up here is actually my home theater system. So you can pretty much use whatever speaker you want. Pi-Core players, it's just a media player at the end of the day. Yeah, lighting too. Presence detection is very, very powerful. I just showed that it's very trivial to do with something as like media. That kind of media kind of thing you don't really see from even Sonos because they have no way to detect presence. Home Assistant really is one of the easiest ways to get something like this working. Yeah, step-by-step instructions. I'll definitely make sure I post something. I'll have it when these videos get posted to YouTube. I'll have a blog post that really show how to link it all together. And so if any of you guys want to get this running, it's very, very easy. Very trivial, actually. Presence trackers, I'm using these. I'm using these Pi Zero Ws. Super cheap, really easy to set up through Room Assistant. Uh, these are great. I actually also use this to play music as well. I also have Pi-Core player installed in these. Not the same one. I'm sure you could do so actually, but these are great devices. I'd recommend picking up these. I'm gonna put these all over my home so I can detect every single room. I'm sorry if I missed some of your guys' questions. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'll definitely have a blog post posted, and it was a great pleasure speaking to you guys. If you guys have any questions, you'll always can find me on Discord. I'm Grand Nubian on Discord, so I'll be there. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of the Home Assistant conference, and I look forward to speaking to a lot of you soon then.